Get the meeting started. Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City of Covington City Council and Kent School District Board joint meeting for Tuesday, July 20th. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. This City Council special meeting is being held telephonically and virtually in compliance with state executive and legislative actions responding to the COVID-19 emergency. And with that, I'm calling this meeting to order. And if we could all please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, for that. And we'll start with introductions. And Denise, since you're president of the school board, I'm going to let you start with the school district.
Absolutely. So I am Denise Daniels, president of the Kent School Board, and I believe I will just allow others to introduce themselves. So let's go ahead and have board members go. Michelle, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Michelle Greenwood-Bettinger, and I am the Vice President on the Kent School District Board, and thank you for welcoming us to your meeting.
I'm Patty Robney. I'm an Executive Director of Learning Improvement, and it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, good evening. My name is Maya Vengadaswam. I'm the Legislative Liaison for the school board, and I'm very happy to see you all again. Thank you for having us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Benno. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a school board member. Thank you for having us here this evening.
Good evening. I'm Leslie Hamada. You all know me from Covington, my adopted city, which I love so much. So happy to be with old friends.
Hello, I'm Randy Heath. I'm the Executive Director of Student and Family Support Services, and happy to be with you today.
And good evening, I'm Melissa Larmy. I'm the Executive Director of Communications and Public Affairs.
Thank you. I think that about covers everyone from KSD. Okay. Thanks for having us.
You bet. Thank you all for being here. And I'll let our council go. I'll start with Sean, and we'll just go in the same order that we normally go in.
Hello, I'm Sean Smith. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem from Covington, and have two kids in the Kent School District.
Where did Jared go? I think we lost Jared. All right, Joe.
I'm Joe Smomo. I am a council member for the city of Covington, a proud KSD graduate, and I also have, well, this fall I will have 2 students in the Kent School District.
Jennifer.
Hi, I'm council member Jennifer Harjahausen. I have a KSD grad and 3 more on their way.
Christina.
Good evening, everyone. Christina Soltis, Covington City Council, and my son has grown up in the Kent School District, and I will have another one joining soon.
Thank you. Beth.
Hi, I'm council member Elizabeth Porter. No children, so I support KSD from afar.
Jared, we're making introductions. You're next. Must be having difficulties. And Regan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Regan Boley. I'm the city manager for the city of Covington. Happy to be here tonight.
There's Jared. We're just doing introductions, Jared, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
I knew there was going to be some issues. Hi, I'm Jared, just one of the council members. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Krista.
Krista Bates, City of Covington, Executive Assistant and Deputy City Clerk.
Casey, I see you're joining us.
Casey Parker, Finance Director for the City of Covington.
And Megan.
Sorry about that. Am I there?
Yep.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Megan Roberts. I'm the Administrative and Patrol Sergeant for the City of Covington and Kent School District graduate several years ago, a long time ago.
Thank you. I think we got everybody. I'm Jeff Wagner. I'm your mayor of Covington, and I am the proud father of 3 young ladies. Well, 2 are going to Cedar Valley, and 1 is now going to be starting at Cedar Heights this fall. So they are all excited to be in school, back in school, thank goodness. And with that, let's turn it over to, did I miss anybody? I think we got everybody. Yes. I'll turn it over to Regan for a Covington City update. Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll go through this together. Well, it was interesting logging on to this meeting, and amazing what can happen in a couple of years since the last time we met. Our council looks a little different, and the school board looks quite a bit different. And so really excited to be together tonight. I've kind of condensed down a little presentation here of some of the things that happened in the last year in the city of Covington and a little bit of how they pertain to our school system here. So again, happy to be here tonight. Obviously, you can't talk about 2020 without COVID and some of the issues that it caused. Obviously, huge impact to the school district as well as the city. We closed City Hall and just opened City Hall again a couple of weeks ago. Several hiring and spending freezes, all kinds of mask giveaways that we did, and city was able to fund a lot of small business grants. You see just over 130,000 to Covington businesses. And then I think most importantly, for those who are really in need to fund for rental assistance, utility payments, food and shelter and housing was a big deal that the council was able to contribute considerably to in the last year. And so we see some light and we see things happening, and we're grateful for the lessons that we've learned throughout the year. So I want to talk a little bit about our mascot, Karma the chameleon. As a school board, you should be familiar with mascots with your schools. And so the city created a mascot a couple years ago. Karma serves as our city ambassador. You can see there in the top right that Mayor Wagner's hung out quite a bit with Karma on doing some promotions and whatnot. Karma was a great help in promoting masking up and sanitizing throughout the year with videos and at the park with kids and whatnot. Really great benefit there. Worked with the Chamber of Commerce on partnerships there, helped with business openings and things like that. We also created, it says there, a Covington Has video. It was really an advertisement that we created, and I'll show you that in a minute, that we streamed on streaming playlists and whatnot, that like Sling and Hulu and those kind of services. And that was a really great thing we did. And then Ready, Set, Play. I think you're all familiar, hopefully, with Play Unplugged, which was a program we used to do in partnership with the Kent School District. And now it's Ready, Set, Play, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then if you're not, you can go follow Karma on Instagram and see everything that Karma's up to, and having a lot of fun throughout the city and with our school kids. So that Shop Local video I mentioned, or advertisement I shared, we really wanted to come up with a way with our businesses, as everyone knows, was struggling considerably in the last year. And we wanted to find a way to help them. And so we got together with the Chamber and with the Port of Seattle grant, and we created this video, or this advertisement, that showed on streaming channels. And you can see there, we got just under 350,000 impressions, 350,000 views on that commercial. And so I'll go ahead and play it here for us.
You still there, Regan? It's kind of froze.
I think we lost Regan, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sure he'll be tying right back in pretty quickly. I'll be glad to be going back to in person. That way you don't hear about you're on mute or you lost connection. I was in a meeting earlier today where we lost connections with everybody. Do we want to jump to Randy while we wait for Regan, or do you want to give up? Regan just said he's trying to log back in.
I learned that the microphone to kindergartners looks like a corn dog. That's what the teacher would tell them to touch the corn dog on the screen. It was pretty cute.
That is cute. So now I'm always going to look for the corn dog, Jennifer.
You will. Now I see it. I was like, corn dog? What are they talking about? And I was like, oh.
Ear of corn. More like an ear of corn.
I like corn dog. Kindergartner knows what a corn dog is over an ear of corn, I think.
Now I'm getting hungry. Okay.
There's Regan. Welcome back, Regan.
How did you like that disappearing act?
It's okay. We're talking about corn dogs.
Oh, well, that sounds more interesting than what I was talking about. So sorry about that. Let me go ahead and try this again and see where we can get to here. Let's see. All right. Okay, are you seeing it now? Okay, we'll go ahead and begin, not start over, but pick up where we left off. So Ready, Set, Play is a program that we started here in the city several years ago. We called it Play Unplugged. And the point of this program was to get our school kids active and engaged throughout the summer in between school years. And so we'd have businesses sponsor some activity, whether it was wearing your seatbelt, baking cookies, making paper airplanes, going on a hike, riding a bike, whatever it was, the business would sponsor that. And then the child would perform that activity and then go into the business and pick up that tag. And then when they collected all the tags on a lanyard, they would bring that into the city, and we'd give them a 3-month free swim pass. Always a great fun. I would attend all the elementary schools end of year assemblies and get the kids all excited, tell them about the program. We'd pass out the lanyards and had a lot of fun with that. So it's a little bit tricky this year or last year in COVID times, trying to do this program of getting people engaged and active and active. But we felt like it was still a really important thing to do. We found a way to do it safely, and it was wonderful. We still had 25 businesses around town participate, over 500 kids that were involved in the program collecting badges, and it went really great. We're really excited for our next opportunity to do this and hopefully start promoting it again in the schools. Okay, for some reason, I'm sorry for the problem we're having here, but it's not letting me move my screen to the next slide. There we go. Is it still showing or did it drop off?
It's not showing.
Okay, let me pull it up then real quick here. Sorry about that. So I'll show you some of our parks projects, which are really important. I know especially to the youth around the community and how we can get people active and involved in the community. One of the things the parks that were of particular interest is Jenkins Creek Park. It's really a gem in the middle of the city, but not really great access to it for the community. So we worked with the grant to receive money to purchase a parcel next to that, next to the park, which will allow us a larger entrance, some parking, and a really great opportunity for people to get into some open space and really enjoy the piece that's there. And then SoCo, or South Covington Park, that is right across the street from the old Covington Elementary School that the city purchased along Wax Road. We've purchased 3 parcels there, and that will be a beautiful passive use park right there in our downtown core. And we're really excited to continue working on that. We've secured all the property at this point. And then another one that came up as a bit of a surprise in this last year is ECO, or East Covington Park. And 5 acres came available that we felt would be a really great opportunity for the city to purchase and add to our inventory of open space and park use. And the council was able to secure that. And our next steps are planning and design to have this be a wonderful place for our community to be able to go and enjoy the great outdoors. Some other things that we were really involved in last year is our art projects. Our Arts Commission and the council continue to get more and more involved in this and investing more into it and really setting Covington apart. We did these utility box wraps around town that look beautiful, and another wrap out of our main park, Covington Community Park. And then our beautiful signature art piece, Metamorphosis, which is that caterpillar you can see crawling up the stem of the flowers to the butterfly budding up on top, really kind of signifying that growing towards greatness theme that we have here in Covington and that we love to see our youth do every day. And we heard, you've got Councilmember Somomo, who grew up here through the Kent School District and is making an impact here in the community, and then others, children doing the same now. Growth is obviously super important to the city and to the school district to know the potential impacts that those have to both of our organizations. So here's just a little bit about what happened in the last year. In building services and permits, we hit record numbers. That's surprising to a lot of people in the year 2020. 187 new building permits were issued, 247 new business licenses, over 5,000 building inspections. It was an incredibly busy year, moving all of this to online permitting. We even were able to do virtual inspections. Pretty exceptional, some of the things that are happening now, and just that growth that continues to happen in our area and in our community specifically. And then of course, our town center, you can see the top picture there of the old Covington Elementary School. We're grateful to be able to purchase that from the Kent School District and to eventually turn that into our future town center. The buildings have all come down. If you haven't driven by that yet, and grass is planted, we did leave up the basketball courts and playground for community members to use. And then 2 buildings we left up, the newer buildings, for our police department to occupy and use. So they're doing that. We've also working on what's called form-based codes to really kind of change and amend our downtown development code to make something that works to create an experience when people come to downtown and give people an opportunity to be involved in that process and in what our future town center will look like. And then of course, Lake Point is a huge development that you're, I'm sure, all aware of. This is over 1.2 million square feet of commercial space, 1,700 residential units. It's pretty impressive. It will be a large development. It not only will increase our trade area, but our population and kids using our cities and schools. And so this is going, it's happening. Dirt's being hauled in, that big sub area is being filled. Road prisms are up to grade. And so this thing is underway and happening. And we're happy to always continue working with the school district and those population projections. Some street projects, as growth comes, so does traffic. And so trying to keep up with that and maintain our roads and build new ones is a huge effort. The Covington Connector Project, which connects Kent Kangley to Highway 18 at the 256 interchange. We were able to break ground last year for that. And that construction is full underway. There's some cool drone footage of that on YouTube that you're able to see, but that's happening. We secured funding for the SR 18 interchange that will go into that Lake Point development at 256. And then, of course, widening from Jenkins Creek to 185th. So widening Kent Kangley as we move further east. And that construction scheduled to begin this year, and completion is scheduled to be around September of 2024. So a lot of really big major projects happening. Another really important thing that happened last year in the city that I wanted to highlight here is our Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission. That was something the city did not have, and the council decided that would be an important aspect to have in the community, an important area and place for people to voice their concerns and come up with innovative solutions and ways that we as a community can promote equity, cultural, and social justice and do a better job there. We have several people appointed. Leslie Hamada is on that commission. We always appreciate her committed service as well. And they're just starting off, but poised to do some really wonderful things. That's the update I have for today. And just want to close it with how grateful we are as a community for the exceptional partnership we've had over the years with the Kent School District, from our SRO to our shared use facilities. It's really, and to Ready, Set, Play, just a really wonderful partnership. We're grateful for the work that you do. Obviously, our children are integral to the future of our city and country and state. And so thank you for the work you do. Thank you for the partnership. And I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Anybody have any questions for Regan? No? Regan, thank you very much for a great presentation. I really appreciate it.
You bet. And sorry for the disruptions in service there.
Hey, you know, it's a sign of the times. And with that, we'll turn it over to Randy Heath for give us a Kent School District update. Randy, thank you for being here.
And actually, Melissa's going to start us off today, and we'll be going from there. So I'm going to hand it over to Melissa.
All right, Melissa, welcome.
Thank you so much. My corn dog moved, so thank you for your patience. Let's see, get the slideshow. Are you still seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So good evening, City Council, Kent School Board members, President Daniels. I am so excited to be here. I first want to just give my regards on behalf of Dr. Watts, who is attending and participating, presenting at a national conference. And so he's not able to attend. He sends his regards. I also want to take a point of privilege, just inspired by your ECSJ, to share that on behalf of the Kent School Board and the Kent School District, we do acknowledge, while we are gathered virtually, that we do gather upon the ancestral lands of the Muckleshoot Indian tribe, who historically and lived throughout the area between the Cascade Mountains and the Puget Sound. And we just want to take a moment to briefly recognize that we are on those ancestral lands. So this evening, we have taken time to work together to address some of the questions. We're so excited to talk about some specific topics, but also just provide some general KSD updates. While it's summer and some people are taking time off, some people are busy doing professional learning, the work continues year-round, even though we're not in school. Although our schools are very active, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So a few major things, as I'm sure you are aware, is just recently on Thursday, July 15th, the Gwinnett County Board of Education named Dr. Watts, our superintendent, as the sole finalist to replace their outgoing CEO and superintendent. Gwinnett County Public Schools is located in Georgia. It's the 13th largest school district in the United States, serving approximately 180,000 students, 141 schools, and a recently adopted budget of $2.5 billion. So he has a large job to fill, and while we will miss him, more information and details about the transition plan for Dr. Watts and the upcoming search that we will engage our community in is coming in the next couple of weeks. We also want to acknowledge that right now our schools are active. While the buildings were closed for most of the 2021 school year, we are still serving free summer meals for all children under the age of 18. And that service happens throughout the district on Mondays. It started July 12th. It goes through August 16th. And children can pick up a box of meals that has 5 lunches and 5 breakfasts. No ID is required, and any children under 18, even if they don't attend Kent School District, can access these free meals. Summer learning. So this year has been different for us in Kent School District. We knew going into the summer we needed to do more. Our goal has been to provide services to our students identified to be in need of social emotional support, perhaps learning acceleration support for reading or math, and students who are credit deficient because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have programs and support offerings at various schools throughout the various grade levels being offered at 35 of our 42 school buildings all summer long. We have construction going on too, just like you, and it is a big job when you're managing those. So we have 2 new buildings opening for this school year. They are on track and on time to be ready for the first day of school, which is August 26th for grades 1 through 12. And those 2 buildings are the new elementary school, which is River Ridge Elementary in the Kent Valley, and our new academy site, which is going to be home to Kent Laboratory Academy, formerly Kent Academy, formerly Kent Phoenix Academy, and Kent Mountain View Academy. And so the Kent Laboratory School will also open on August 26th, the first day of school. We have a new online enrollment system, which has been an improvement for us this year, and certainly excited to offer this to our families, but we are now enrolling students for kindergarten and all grades. You can find information on our website, but children who are 5 by August 31st are encouraged to enroll as soon as possible to get it enrolled. And finally, a finance update. We had just before the end of this school year, the Washington State Auditor concluded their annual audit and reported no findings from the 2019-2020 financial audit. During the live streamed exit conference on June 22nd with our board, the state auditor shared their independent objective audit results, which demonstrated KSD is in strong fiscal health, and we are happy to report that. This spring, our board also held a series of work sessions, followed by our first of 2 public meetings on the 21-22 budget. And that last meeting with the public hearing was held on June 23rd. At the Board of Directors regular meeting on August 25th, coming up next month, our proposed budget for next school year will be presented to the board in total and put forth for adoption. Those are some of our main things that are happening this summer, and I'm going to turn it over to Randy.
Thank you, Melissa. It was shared with us that you had a number of topics that you kind of wanted to hear some more about, and so we tried to address those in the following slides that we have here, and then we're willing to take questions. We can either stop after each little section and you can ask some questions, or we can save those for the end. We're fine either way. The first one that we were given, the first topic, was around bullying, mental health, and other behaviors. I just want to point out that each of these 3 topics really could be a presentation in their own that lasts well over an hour. So this is just going to kind of hit some highlights, but one of the things I really wanted to share is really around the framework that we use to provide supports to students who are demonstrating behaviors that we might be concerned about. And so we call this our multi-tiered systems of support. We didn't invent it. That is not something that is unique to the Kent School District. It is actually a recommended best practice that is used around the state and around the country. And in fact, some states have adopted the multi-tiered systems of support statewide. Our state has not officially adopted that, but they do recommend it as a best practice. So what the multi-tiered system of support really is a framework. And having a framework is important, especially in a district the size of the Kent School District. Because we have such a large number of schools with unique populations and support structures and partnerships with community-based organizations and different levels of support, this allows us as a district to speak in a language across the district and be able to really know what people are talking about. We are in our 5th year of district-wide implementation of multi-tiered systems of support. Every year we examine our system and our plan, make changes as necessary, using a group of stakeholders that come together and really look at our data, make some decisions, make some recommendations. At the heart of this is a coaching model that we use. There are 3 district level coaches who are responsible for supporting the schools, working with the school teams to look at their data, to look at what supports they currently have in place, what supports they may need, look at the behaviors that they're seeing to determine, are these maybe individually based, are they systems based, and really put into a plan through some set processes on problem solving and through identifying behaviors. One of the things that is important to understand when you talk about student behaviors is that behavior is a form of communication. And when a behavior is being demonstrated, that is a key to us. They are trying to communicate to us something. And it is our job as the adults in the system to try to understand what they are trying to communicate so that we can help provide the best supports possible to address those behaviors that we see. Okay, next slide. So basically, we have 3 tiers, and we like to use the triangle diagram that you see on your screen there to really indicate that one of the key to this is really having a strong tier 1 support structure, which is our universal support structure. And this is the supports that we provide all students within a school. So when we say what should we be concentrating most of our time on, we should be concentrating on our universal supports, because if they are done well, then it should take care of about the needs of about 85% of our student body at that school. And so things that fall into the part of a tier 1 support would be clear, consistent school-wide and classroom expectations. Kids are able to follow when they know what the expectations are and that they're not changing constantly. Intentional relationship development. And I put this intentional because it's work. There's strategies that work to build relationships. And so relationships just don't happen. I mean, in some cases, they just kind of happen. But in many cases, there really needs to be specific strategies that the adults in the building are using to try to develop those relationships, because that relationship is the key. Talk to any successful educator, and they will tell you that the relationship piece is the key to everything. And so there are things that we can do around that. Social emotional learning has taken on a bigger role in the post-pandemic or during the pandemic, and will continue to be as we try to address the concerns that we'll be seeing. And some of that is through intentional instruction, through specific programs. Others happen through morning meeting formats or advisory type of formats at our secondary schools, where we lead students through specific lessons and other things. You can't assume that students come into the classroom with a certain set of social emotional skills. We need to be able to teach those to everyone so that we know that we're working on a level playing field. And then we have things like we always look for opportunities to enter into grants. One of the big ones that we've been implementing in our middle schools for the last 4 years is, we'll be entering in year 4, is our SBIRT, which is Screening, Brief Intervention, Refer to Treatment or Supports. And that is a Best Starts for Kids grant that specifically looks at using universal screeners to try to indicate students that are in need of greater support. And so that's been a great help to us. Trauma-informed training is a huge piece of helping the staff be prepared to address those concerns, and then really monitoring and adjusting based on that data. So if we're doing those things strong, then we'll be able to, that'll meet the needs of most of our students. And then there's a group of students who are going to need some additional supports. We don't take away the universal tier 1 supports, we add in some additional supports. And that includes, when you're talking about tier 2 supports, we're often talking about prevention intervention services, and we contract with Kent Youth and Family Services for a lot of those ones around substance use. Community mentorship, one of our main partners on that is our Communities and Schools of Kent, which I know that some of you have some strong connections to in the past. Student groups, sometimes we understand that there's a group of students who all maybe are facing some of the same things, and we bring them together and do some group exercises, like kids who are having struggles making friends. We may have a friendship group. Maybe students who are going through a loss in their family. We bring together groups of students who can really talk about their losses in a setting with other kids who maybe are going through some of the same things, those types of things. We have check-in, check-out, where we assign a staff member to check in the morning with the student, see how their day went up until they arrived at school, and then check out to really understand, was there something that happened at school that maybe we need to try to address before the day after. These are meant to be, and then other things like reteaching and role-playing some of these cell strategies that they're learning in class. These tier 2 supports are meant for a short period of time, and then hopefully we can get them back to just needing the tier 1 supports. And then tier 3 supports really are your more intensive ones, and it's a very small group of students who usually need these. They include some of our mental health counseling needs. That was one of the questions that you had around there. Do we have mental health services for our students? And the answer is yes, and it's increasing all the time. Currently, all of our secondary students have access to in-school mental health supports, and we're continuing to try to build up all of our elementaries as well. We don't have it currently in all of our elementaries, but we are trying to work toward that. And we partner with community-based organizations, Valley Cities, Kent Youth and Family Services, and others. Case management services through Communities and Schools of Kent is another big one that we're doing. Substance abuse consultation through Kent Youth and Family Services. And really, when you're talking about tier 3 supports, you're working off of a specific behavior plan in order to support that student's needs. And so that is our multi-tiered systems of support. And since you asked about bullying, I know that that is a concern around a lot of families out there. We found that prevention is the best strategy when working around bullying. We have specific curriculum that addresses this. We try to share with our students and their families how they report bullying early on so that it doesn't blow up to something bigger. We've added a section on our website this year and on all school web pages. There's a clear button that they can click around reporting a concern that shows them exactly the steps to take. We have a consistent process district-wide around how we address and investigate bullying concerns. And then really an understanding that in order to address a bullying concern, it often means supporting both the alleged target and the alleged aggressor. And so there are reasons why kids bully. And so if we don't ever address those, as well as the same times that we're trying to support the student who may be being targeted by the bullying, then we're just going to continue having the same issues over and over again. And then we really do use our multi-tiered approach to really trying to provide those supports. I do think there's one thing that I just want to bring up and I try to make a point of, which is we have a lot of our society that is defining conflict and fights as bullying. And that bullying has a very specific definition, and it's important that we try to make sure that we are identifying it correctly, because how you work to resolve a conflict between and you can kind of see on the chart there the differences between how do we kind of understand whether this is just a conflict or a fight, and how do we determine if this is bullying. We really address these in different ways. So it's important that we really understand that, and that not all conflict is bullying. And in fact, conflict is a part of life. Anyone who has any kind of relationship with anyone understands that there are conflicts that happen at times, and that teaching kids to work through their conflicts is an important life skill. So that is the bullying, mental health, and other behaviors. Does anyone have any specific questions on that before we move on to school resource officers?
I have a question. I'm just wondering, and maybe I missed it, things like that and support. How do you track these, and what are the trends? Which way are they going? And does the school district have the resources to respond to the issues that they're confronting? And I guess finally, what new things are you seeing? I know bullying seems to be the thing that we tend to focus on, but are there new issues that the schools starting to see emerging?
Being at such a large district, different levels, it really depends on the school. Certain things seem to crop up at different schools at different parts of the district at different times, and that's why developing the model of a multi-tiered system of support, where we have coaches to go and support specific schools. It allows them to identify what are the behaviors that they're seeing at that specific school at that specific time, and then working with the school staff with the resources they currently have to try to address those. And then if they find that the school doesn't have the resources maybe at that school, then bringing that back up to the district level and understanding, is there additional supports that we can provide, or additional training that we can provide, or a community-based partner that's out there that maybe hasn't been connected with this school yet that we can try to connect. And so there's not one issue that we're seeing. There's not one reason why kids bully or don't, and there's not one reason maybe why kids are struggling with mental health. It's a variety of different reasons, and we need to be able to adapt to that.
Thank you. Christina.
Hi, my question is about cyberbullying. I know that we can only control that which is, on the premises during the school hours, but is there an effort put forth towards the awareness of cyberbullying? I mean, truly, because what can happen on school grounds can be hidden, and obviously cyberbullying can as well. But is there a certain, and I'm not sure what the answer is. I don't know how nobody's going to sit down and inspect every child's social media account, but is there some awareness made forth towards this?
Yes. There's absolutely an acknowledgement that is one of the larger trends that we see. I mean, bullying is bullying, whether it happens in person or it happens online. But online is this secret world of adolescence that many adults are not aware of what is going on. And one of the keys is really trying to work with kids to let them know that they need to let adults know if things are going on. And so, yes, as part of our instruction around anti-bullying methods, we absolutely address the cyberbullying issue. When it turns criminal, we often work with our law enforcement partners to try to address that. You are correct in saying, though, that we have to be careful as a school district, because sometimes this falls outside of our jurisdiction. And so if this is happening on personal devices outside of school grounds, not connected to school, it doesn't mean we're not going to help try to address the issue. because if we don't address it, even if it is something that happens outside of school, then it is likely to find its way into school and escalate. So, but we need to be very upfront with parents at times that we're going to help try to resolve this. But if you're expecting us to suspend the child or this other child or you know, for them to face school discipline, it might not fit within the nexus of our control, and therefore legally we can't. Once again, it doesn't mean that we're not going to help address the issue. It just, you know, sometimes parents find that frustrating because they're like, well, they want some action taken against the student, and sometimes that's not. But the real issue is we just want it to stop. And so we're going to work and try to address that. But yes, that is a complicated issue that we continue to try to work through. And social media has changed the game in terms of, you know, the cyber.
Thank you. That is indeed a very tricky and complicated subject.
Anybody else have a question for Randy? I have a couple of questions and a comment for you. So can you go back one slide? I want to, so when a student is having problems at home, whether it's abuse of any different type of nature, and it's reported to the school district, does the school district get involved at a tier 2? And do they involve, would that be Kent Youth and Family Services that they would help with that? Or, I mean, does the school district get involved to help that student out?
Yeah. Well, first off, school employees are mandatory reporters. So if we find out that there is abuse going on in the home, then that is something that we immediately have to report to Child Protective Services. And, you know, they take that from there. As far as if it doesn't rise to that level and maybe it's just some struggles that the families are going through, that really oftentimes we will lean on a lot of our community partners to try to, that's an example of maybe say that the family is really facing a shortage of food or their imminent homeless situation that might be happening. That is where some interventions can occur. We have a McKinney-Bento homeless liaison that works out of our office that is great at knowing a lot of the resources and different places to send people. And then a lot of our groups, like our Communities and Schools of Kent, then the site coordinators, they have a lot of outside resources that they're often able to work with those families and find those resources as well.
Perfect. Well, you just answered my second question about homelessness, so thank you. I knew that, but I'm glad you brought it up. And then a comment I have is that my 2 oldest girls experienced bullying when they were at in school in their 1st and 2nd grades. And once I have to commend, and I've let the teachers know, and once the teachers found out, the bullying was stopped very quickly. So the training and education of your instructors and the principal are very good. And, you know, but if the teachers don't know, they can't fix a problem that's not knowledgeable. So I just wanted to say I really appreciate the fact that the training goes on for everybody at the school district to help with that. So
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Randy? All right, Randy, I'll let you continue.
Okay, school resource officers. So I know that this has gotten some community attention lately. First off, I want to say that we're all invested in having safe schools, and how we come about having safe schools is really a multi dimension to that. And of course, it starts with having safe and caring and healthy communities. The school district is a microcosm of the communities in which they are placed. And so, you know, working with the cities and the communities that encompass the Kent School District is essential to trying to help make sure that kids feel safe and that they are healthy. The other part is some of the things that we've talked about, having a multi-tiered system of support, having strong partnerships with our community and other supports that are out there so we can try to address things early on and take care of that. And really training of our staff is essential. And you talked about that earlier around, you know, the adults in our school system want to do right. They want to provide supports and they need to be trained in that way. And then part of this is our safety services is part of keeping our schools safe. And in that is our school safety officers that are employed by the district, but it's also our partnerships with our school resource officers that come to us from Covington and from King County and from Kent. And so as you may or may not know, there's new legislation that governs over school resource officers. One of the things that it has done is really define what are the duties of a school resource officer and what are not the duties of a school resource officer, including the whole fact of, you know, trying to make sure that they are not involving themselves in regular school discipline issues. We should not be criminalizing student behaviors that are part of a discipline process. Another thing that the legislation does is to bring specific training that needs to happen with school resource officers. And there is also some data collection that needs to start happening around the interactions that these school resource officers are having with students, and then a reporting of that data on an annual basis. And then really a clear process that is made clear through the district on if there is a concern with one of the school resource officers, how does someone bring about a complaint, and how will that, you know, what would be the process of trying to resolve that complaint? We did a very extensive, actually, presentation on this at the school board, at our school board work session on June 8th. That was recorded and is available on our website if people are interested in going and looking at that. We wanted to thank Chief McCurdy was a part of that presentation. And so we're very thankful that he has been a great partner in this as well. And so that is kind of the gist of where we are with the school resource officers. We have contracts that are going to be coming forward that the board is going to be looking to possibly take action on within the next month or so. I know we are running a little bit low on time, so I don't know where we went. So Melissa, do you want to?
Yeah, Randy, thank you. I'll just briefly state that, you know, June 9th, we opened a thought exchange for community, staff, students to really give their initial thoughts and input on the draft contract that reflects these legal changes. I'll make sure I send Krista the link so that you can explore the full results of the more than 1,000 comments from over 1,100 community members, including students, staff, and non-community members, and the themes that emerged. This is not our first or our last opportunity to engage the community around the SROs and our SRO program and build awareness around the changes in the law. We will have additional opportunities next month before school starts and throughout the school year that will feature student voice, community partners, and of course, our partners in law enforcement. And I think we can go to Patty, maybe, just recognizing our time.
Yes, so before we can teach our students, we need to get them to school. So I only have a 2-slide, really quick overview of transportation. As you can tell from the data on this, we have a pretty busy transportation day and a pretty large fleet. Some of you may be thinking, gosh, I've been behind 650 of those daily trips when I'm trying to get to work. So I know it feels that way, but we have 94 gen ed buses and 36 special education bus routes. That isn't to say that we don't have, that our students who have individualized education plans do not ride on a general education route. It just means that some of our students have special needs that are, it's just critical that we transport them safely and developmentally appropriately in their route. A good example being our students who are in the early childhood special ed program are as young as 3, and so we're not going to be transporting them on a bus that has students up to 6th grade or 12th grade. We have 650 daily trips, 155 buses in the fleet, and we've been expanding those buses and the types of buses that we have. Right now, Kent has 21 buses that have compressed natural gas, 3 electric, which was kind of exciting to add that to the fleet this year. And then the remaining 131 buses are diesel. average driver, and Kent's pretty experienced. They've been working in our district as drivers for 10 years. And then the average route has 3 different schools. We have staggered bells in start times in Kent so that the drivers can go to more than one school and get our kids back and forth. You'll see the younger students have smaller walking distance that are determined by our school district policies. And then as they get older, that distance increases. About 15,000 students in Kent qualify for busing, and about 10,000 of them take advantage of that. And, you know, our high school students, some of them drive, some of our younger students are dropped off. One of the concerns we will hear from parents sometimes is they don't feel like it's safe for students to be bused. Those concerns are taken very seriously. So any of those are routed to the transportation department. They'll walk it, they'll investigate. We have actually had routes added when there's been road construction or some traffic concerns that we want to be sure our students are getting to us and getting home safely. Each school has a walking route that's recommended for their walking paths. A lot of principals will do that walk to be sure their students are safe and that they know what to expect on those. And then again, the concerns for parents, and I would encourage any parent, if you have a concern, absolutely reach out. We do connect with transportation. And again, they are taken seriously, they are investigated. And if we can reroute, we certainly do. And then as sidewalks are added, then some of our designated walking routes get added. So we've even had some temporary ones where we had lots of construction on 256. And even though it wasn't that far to get to a school, it wasn't safe to do so. So we bused students until it was student safe. And then I mentioned the early childhood preschool students that have special transportation. One of the things that our transportation department will do is try to get as close to their home as possible. So if they can go all the way and pick them up in front of their own house or their own apartment, they will do that. If it's not safe to turn around in the cul-de-sac, there's just not enough space or whatever, they'll get as close as they can. So our transportation department takes this role very seriously.
Thank you, Patty.
You bet.
So just recognizing our time and also being a former Covington resident more than 10 years ago, I know I don't need to talk a lot about growth. So I'll save time there because you all are very familiar with growth and that was previously mentioned. And I really want to get to the heart with so many parents, alumni on the council, just really honoring where we are with COVID and for us in the school district. So our first day of school for the 2021-22 school year is Thursday, August 26th, as I mentioned, for grades 1 through 12. Kindergarten starts the following week on Tuesday. And right now, the Department of Health guidelines were last updated July 6th. We know that a more comprehensive update from Department of Health, considering the latest changes from the CDC, are coming. And so we know that what is out there now, which includes face coverings for all, ventilation, cleaning and disinfecting, reporting and tracking COVID cases like we were last year, those are going to change. The most recent change they made is that people are not required, our staff or our students, to wear masks outdoors, but if you're unvaccinated, you're still encouraged. So prior to the start of school, we are very hopeful to get those latest updates. And as soon as we do, we'll get the most up-to-date health requirements out to all of our families and our staff so that we can support a safe return to the new school year. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can answer any questions if we have time.
Oh, thank you, Melissa.
Sure.
Yeah, I know that we were kind of short on time there and we kind of skipped the slide, but I know that people who live around where I do in this, we skipped the slide on the boundary changes for the school district. And I say that because my neighborhood was affected by what the boundaries were were changing to if the vote had passed. And so I'd like to know, because I get asked, and I tell people, I direct people to the school district and not to me. but I still get asked, when is the plan for a new boundary maps? And is it going to be coming up for a vote anytime soon? I ask this because my son is going to be, my neighborhood is bused 30 minutes away when there's a school 5 minutes away.
Thank you so much for the question. We did engage in the boundary study last year, and we had an outside consultant. We did actually execute boundary changes for 7 of our schools in order to support the new opening of River Ridge Elementary. So a quarter of our elementary schools did experience a boundary change, and they will go into effect for the start of this school year. Our part of this first initial phase and what was approved by our board last winter was to then conduct an equity study and really look at the suggestions that came and provide more time for engagement. So while no decision is slated for an upcoming board meeting at this point, what is slated for this school year is definitely community engagement and continued conversations about the boundary studies. So if there were to be any changes, they would not be until the 2022-23 school year for any other schools. And there will be multiple opportunities to engage in those conversations before the board makes a decision.
Thank you for that, Melissa.
Sure.
Does anybody else have any other questions? I had it down that we run till 8 o'clock tonight, so. But that's fine. 7 o'clock is better. Beth.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, just a quick question about the growth, because I know that there appeared to be space running out in schools the last, I think, year or two when there was a study done, and with continued growth in the area, what would be the plan for accommodating additional new residents?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Porter. We definitely have considered, when we work with do the boundary study, and consistently throughout the year, we have a department, our capital and facilities team, who's always working with our city colleagues to look at all the new builds. So they are the ones tracking all of the new builds and potential new families moving in. I wrote down that 1,700 family units and out there by the lake, and that is a large number of families that could be potentially coming into our district. And so working together to understand that is really important. One of the changes that we've been considering and that will come back before the board is that 6th grade, moving 6th grade to middle schools and looking at the capacities. When Kent Laboratory Academy, now called, moves to their new building at the old Panther Lake Elementary, that will open up what was formerly Sequoia Middle School. And that can be retrofitted to accommodate a middle school, elementary. With voter approved dollars, we can change that building and that property that we already own to accommodate the students that we have. So we're always looking years out when we look at enrollment, but also in the planning with our capital facilities team.
I think I might want to add too to that conversation about the 6th grade moving up. There was a lot of people that really felt that that was a good thing to do, and that the instructional day already had been incorporated to include the 6th. A lot of what they were already doing was with the middle school attitude. They just didn't have them in a particular building together. And I think the one thing that came up with our community in the letters that I received was that they wanted to have another year of normalcy before they jumped into that kind of thing. But after that, they would be very favorable to that. So I just thought I'd add that too. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. Joe.
This is going back to growth and boundary studies. And I wanted to get my thoughts to formulate my question correctly here. So I'm one of those few people, I'm going to use myself as an example, and then I have neighbors who are in the same way. I am one of those few people who has a huge age gap in their kids. So I have a child starting kindergarten in the fall and a child starting at the high school in the fall. Crestwood is a hop, skip, and a jump. We have no issues there. My whole neighborhood loves Crestwood. I'm going to add that. We love Crestwood. We've always had great experiences there for this whole neighborhood, and we've always enjoyed that that school. My neighborhood though goes to Kent Lake with Kentwood just down the street. If I had no trees, and I know I'm offending everyone in Covington by saying if we cut down all the trees, I could see Kentwood from my house. I'm not cutting down the trees. Don't worry, council. I'm not going to go and do that. But we go to Kent Lake, and I ask these questions because I know transferring, when we make these transfers, it's going to be hard for kindergartners who just started, who may be having to go to a brand new school the next year, or ninth graders who are with all the who were just at Matson, Cedar Heights. Sorry, my cat got in the way. Matson, Cedar Heights, Mill Creek Middle School, who will be who were all there going into the ninth grade, but then next year in 10th grade they'll be transferring to another. I'm just wondering if there was not a way we could have gone about the boundary changes without and change the language in the ordinance to ensure that the sixth graders had another year for being in the elementary schools. Or if that wasn't an option, why hasn't the community involvement, didn't it start a month after that? I know we will have something that the community would like us to do, and we go straight into that. It usually does take a little bit of time because we all want government to work like this, and we all know it goes more like a snail. Sorry, my wife is doing some cooking if you all hear stuff in the background. So I'm just wondering why the waiting period?
Thank you for your question. I can start to answer. Mr. Heath is our transfer expert and oversees that process for the district, but we've considered that as well. And your family structure is not ununique from a lot of family structures in our district. And that's one of the pain points, I will call, of making these types of system-wide decisions, that we really need to look at that and what's best for all students and consider that, but the impact on individual families and weighing that for over 22,000 families, over 26,000 students, it takes time. But when we did the boundary study, it considered every address of every registered student and where they were intended to go in the following years. One of the reasons why we've waited and paused is really we heard from the community and from our board that the desire was to have in-person meetings for feedback, and that it wasn't working the way that we were able to conduct and receive feedback online through the series of virtual meetings that we offered. And so that was one of the reasons in February why things were paused when that decision was made, because we were waiting to do that, but also we needed to work to implement the boundary changes that were approved for the 7 elementary schools to open our River Ridge Elementary.
And if I could just add, though, we did have community input. The organization that we contracted with, I'm trying to remember how many families, how much outreach they sent. It was several thousand families that did have the opportunity to give input. So yes, that is something we did do.
Yes, MGT did, and we had phone calls and surveys. And so I think with communication, yes, there's always more we can do. And we're excited to have less restrictions and more availability to do even more this next time that we go out.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions? Well, we are now 10 minutes over, but I want to thank everybody. Does anybody have any closing comments they would like to have? Sean.
Not so much closing comments. I guess at some point I'd be interested in hearing from KSD about the plan for finding the new superintendent and what the timeline is for that.
So we're beginning that process and beginning that conversation. It is a process. So we're meeting to determine next steps early next week. And so we'll be announcing next steps after we decide. We kind of come together as a district and figure out what this is going to look like, because we also have a new board coming in next January. So there's that, trying to determine what that looks like and how best to move forward. So there will be more information coming about that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Denise. Do you have anything for closing that you'd like to say, Denise, or anybody from the school district?
Oh, I of course just want to thank everyone. It's always really good to get to connect. And I really do appreciate the questions because I know that the city has to work closely with the school district, and I appreciate your willingness to do that. I think we have an amazing relationship, and so the partnership is fantastic. So moving forward, I just look forward to continuing to work together. And thank you so much again for your time. We appreciate it. And if you have any other follow-up questions or something you thought about, please don't hesitate to reach out, and probably, Melissa, I'm going to put you out there, send them to Melissa.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So, but thank you so much. We really appreciate the time and the connection.
Well, and thank you for that. And I want to thank each of you for coming together tonight. We've had quite a few, we've had several joint meetings with the school board, and it seems like each year, each time we have one, it gets more and more informative and a lot more information. And maybe it was just me, but I found tonight probably one of the most valuable and informative joint sessions that I've attended. So I want to thank everybody, Randy, Melissa, and everybody moved on my screen. Patricia, there you are. I want to thank you for your presentation, and Regan, thank you for the presentation. And each of you, thank you all very much for what you do for not only the community, but for all the kids in our community. So thank you for that. And it's great to see that we're helping as many kids as we can moving forward. So with that, I want to thank each of you and hope that you all have a very good evening. Thank you again for joining tonight. Thank you.